morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Professor Adam Kleinberg. I'm here to talk to you today about social media trends, and as they specifically apply to my opponent, Mr. Theo Banning. The agenda. Cuando viene a su marca es la experiencia que más importante. Más importante, porque la experiencia is the most important thing. That means the experience is what counts. And Theo's experience is what counts in getting us here in terms of this presentation. As you can see, Korean is a very difficult language to experience, and Theo grew up in Hawaii, where Korean food is extremely popular, and which has had a big influence on creating his distorted view of the world. Wanneer het over uw werk komt, is dat de everyone die bang is. That is Bolivian for Theo has done many strange things which have impacted our lives, yet we should forgive him. And of course, this means Theo is tall. Crazy, perizzle, boom, shakalak, the lizzle, cool, interdizzle, we gonna bizzle, crazy mofo, dang doang, Ahmed, the lizzle, which is what our neighbors here in lovely Polk Gulch say to Theo when he's outside smoking cigarettes with John. So where have we been? And of course, where has Theo been? Theo is a character who is often tying himself in knots. He is interconnected, as are the social webs, and he also is very childish, as we've seen him argue repeatedly. In a social media context, of course, since this is the theme of our presentation, we've also seen how there are brilliant leaders, charismatic leaders, in companies such as this one. And there are silly people who have had real angst in their lives, who may be creative, they may be mavericks, but sometimes have to act inappropriately to get their message across. This map delineates the thought process with which Theo goes through to thwart my every move. So you'll notice that I'll say, Godzilla is green. And Theo will go through that matrix that we've seen to come up with an alternate response to what I must have meant by Theo is green, which is that, no, actually it's gold, because Godzilla used to invade Tokyo, and Tokyo is in Japan, and Japan is an island, and there are also islands in Hawaii. You laugh, but this is what I go through. And of course, the gold laptop, which is exemplary of the volcanoes in Hawaii. All right. Where are we now? Today, Theo Banning and social media. Theo is emerging from the shell from whence he was born and raised and has grown. He's starting to realize that, yeah, I'm awesome. And especially when I feed him with liquor. Still, occasionally, we see that he attempts to devour my every word as I leap from the proverbial plane of life and try and make little points here that I throw out of the airplanes that I call our our conference room here. And like Jaws, he maliciously snaps at me, you know, but it's all in good. At the end of the day, I know that while he may appear to be giving me the thumbs down, it's really a like that he has for me. So where are we going with this whole relationship? This social media. Well, we're trying not to repeat ourselves. We're trying not to use create memes here of replicable behavior that invade our life. We're trying to show that there are many parts to the whole, and that most of them are negative, but the overall can still be positive. We're showing that it's okay to be a small fish in a big pond, not just a big fish in a small pond. And we're understanding that I truly do rock. And from the heavens, you know, there is a heavenly Jesus-type figure up there who is silently influencing everything, and he looks like Paul. You add all that up. You have myself, Thea, Paul, and a chicken. And you get a summary. And what is that summary? Well, let me tell you. That summary is a summary that's long awaited. It's a summary that you're going to have to wait for incessantly, because not only does Thea like to bust my balls, but Goya wants to make me squirm in anticipation for this slide. But I will tell you all that this summary is going to be amazing when we finally see it. Is that social media trends are what drive a connected world. It's the social media trends that are bringing us all together, that are uniting us in this room, in Egypt, Tunisia, across the world, and across the galaxy, and even from the conference room to Paul's desk. And it is those trends that we are using to drive Theo's vision. Because at the end of the day, I want to sink his battle deck.
Okay, social media trends. In South America, social media has taken off at a whole new level that very few people are aware of. It's also very popular in Korea, as well as Germany, and Russia. And in the inner cities of Chicago. Where did this all come from? It all started with a little known game called Cat's Cradle. This is another version of Cat's Cradle, not so common, but normally you'd actually see some strings attached between the king's hands. Now, Cat's Cradle was a huge influence on many people across many demographics, as seen in this particular illustration. We can see that whether it be California and or New York, and either the social economic standings of the tremendously poor, or possibly up here we were talking about the higher upper class or the high performance economic strains. Those people in particular were very comfortable with dinosaurs. Dinosaurs being the originators of the game Cat's Cradle. Again, the first social game. This led to obvious innovation. Dinosaurs at the time didn't have laptops, much less gold-plated ones, but they did start to develop the first computer based off of the idea of Cat's Cradle, which obviously Steve Jobs knew at the time, and then innovated on that in his first version of the Mac that we now know is very popular in Iran at this point. So, where does this lead us to today? Pringles, a craft company, originated the very first essence of Cat's Cradle, which was kitten in a can. Kitten in a can took the same constructs of Cat's Cradle, the idea of two people interacting with one another in a social game, and took it to a new level. That new level being almost religious. People loved this game. They thought it was almost as good as drinking. And sharks flying out of airplanes during World War II over the Mojave Desert. Wow, that's awesome. But very few people, a small uprising has started to think that this whole evolution of Cat's Cradle is not so great. So, where can Cat's Cradle go? Well, not very far. As seen in this particular diagram, we have the majority of the population believing that Cat's Cradle is an amazing thing that should be taken to the next social media evolution. While we do have these smaller fractions that believe that it is really just a flash in the pan, and that in particular time they'll be obscured by probably the next big thing, maybe dominoes, or perhaps Pac-Man. So, how should we look at this? Should we be looking at this as big ocean thinking, or we're a small fish in a big pond, or a big fish in a small pond? The glass is always half empty. One of the leading proponents of Cat's Cradle theories is Adam Kleinberg. Seen here, musing his particular stylings of the actual song Cat's Cradle. I know a little bit of a deviation of the normal theme, but let's just say it's an interesting execution, to say the least. Back to Jesus. Jesus, the king of drinking, I don't know if anyone knew, that's really where he originated from before this whole Immaculate Conception. Helped the dinosaurs come up with Cat's Cradle. Because remember, the idea is that Cat's Cradle itself is in essence the cradle of life, and thus the earth. Much like the turducken, Cat's Cradle has some interesting variations, such as the donkey, dog, cat, rooster. Now, if we put all these items in together, we get a mythical beast, a chimera, if you will, of functionality and form. So, in summary, should I summarize on this slide? Yes. In summary, Cat's Cradle, been with us for centuries, perhaps eons, originating back in the Jurassic or Triassic period, depending on your particular school of thought, has evolved over time into the social paradigm that it is today. And how it will control our future, if it will control our future, is yet to be determined. So, social media trends, Cat's Cradle, Theo fan.
Theo Fanning, you sank my battle deck.